Welcome back. Propane Pete back with you again, and it's the second day with the tiny car in my tiny workshop. When I say the second day, I don't mean day 1, day 2, day 3 contiguously. There will be some days where not a lot of work is happening with the Charade. I'm running around chasing up some elusive parts, and it's 60 kilometres into town and back, so I'm spending a lot of time doing that. Also, a change of plans has occurred in the order I plan to do things. I originally intended to get the roadworthy items all done first, get it inspected, get it re-registered, and get it back in here in the workshop, and get all the servicing and reliability items out of the way. But the exhaust shop has rung me and said that they will now require the car itself physically in the workshop so they can get it up on the hoist, measure up things accurately and get it all fitted up nice and accurately. But that's going to be a 10-day delay. But there is a bonus. The exhaust shop is also an approved inspection station. So they will fit the exhaust system for me while it's up on the hoist. So this has worked out to be a little bit of a bonus actually. So this means the car, when it does go for an inspection, will be really top shape. All the servicing will be done and a lot of the reliability items. So I'll be able to use it a lot sooner. So with that change of plans, I shall now today finish the brakes, replace that left-hand front CV boot, and then I'll get stuck into the servicing and reliability items. So I better get going. Yeah, everything looks fine. Just a lot of rust, and the sliders are pretty well seized up. So yeah, just a clean up as I thought. This is good. Okay, let's get these pads out. Come out, you. There we go. Look at that, plenty of meat. Excellent. Yeah, just some rust there. Yeah, plenty of meat left on. This is going to be good. Everything's going to come up fine here, just like I thought. In my first video, setting up a tiny workshop, I mentioned that car workshop benches should be metal and not wood, like in a carpentry workshop. And this is why. Have a look at this. You can imagine if this was a wooden bench. It'd be ruined in no time, but metal bench, you just clean it up. No problems at all. I'm just using some sandpaper to clean the rust off the surface of these brake pads. After I finish the left side, that's this side, I'll be doing the same to the right side, but I won't video that because it's just a repeat of what I'm doing now. This is just the start of the cleaning process. I went through everything in detail, but I won't show you that here. It would be far too boring. So while the brakes are all removed from the left-hand front, perfect opportunity to attend to this destroyed CV boot. So I've just popped the tie rod end off. I've already removed the bottom, or undone the bottom ball joint. That came off easily. So now it's just a matter of getting the drive shaft out. Drain the gearbox oil out first, and then we can remove the drive shaft. The drive shaft is out, and that's where it fits into the gearbox. Well, I didn't capture this on video, but I used my new pry bars here, the little one, and a quick flick, and the drive shaft fell out on my head. So anyway, all good. Okay, this is the drive shaft disassembled, and this is the end of it. Just got to be a little bit careful with these little tripods. You can actually, these can pop off, and all these little needle rollers will fall everywhere. And on the end of this shaft there's a circlip, which I'm going to remove. That's it there. I'll remove that, and this whole little tripod unit should pop off. And then I can remove the boot, and then I can remove the outer boot, and then put it all back together again. Here's the old boot, and just judging by the amount of grease and rubbish around the hub and knuckle, I think it's been like this for a very long time. Anyway, got a new one to go on. Here's the drive shaft all cleaned up. This was the problem end, the wheel end, where the torn boot was. And the shaft coming down to the end, there's the circlip, the little tripod goes on there. And that's the inner CV that goes into the gearbox. Okay, the CV boot that came online didn't quite fit. Almost, but just a 5mm difference in the diameters here on the lip. So that wasn't going to work. So, however, our local bloke in town had a kit for me. There it is, and it's the right one. This bloke actually used to own 13 Daihatsu Charades, so he knows all about it, and now I know where to get a few more bits and pieces too. So we'll put this all together now, and we'll get this drive shaft back in the car. I cleaned this CV joint right out because it had been open to the elements for so long. And surprisingly it was fine, so I'm just filling it up with grease now from the little grease pack that came with the CV kit, and I'm just working it into the CV joint with my fingers, and I'll fill that right up, and also put a little bit inside the boot, the new boot. It's you can see there about to go on, and I did the same process with the inner CV as well. Filled it up with new grease. Okay, the band wasn't working. Even with my crimping tool, proper crimping tool, it just couldn't catch the edge of this crimp, and it's stainless steel as well, so it's hard to crimp. So that wasn't going to work, but good old cable ties. These are 7.6mm and wide, and they fit in perfectly in the groove, and I've just tightened it right up. That's not going to go anywhere. That'll be fine. little trick here. I'm just holding this tripod together with a cable tie so that it all doesn't fall apart on the floor while I put the circlip on the end of the shaft. Putting the drive shaft back in, it went in quite easily. There's the drive shaft back in, and you can see that the cable ties fit nicely, and those slightly protruding lock tabs won't interfere with anything. There's the original locking pins on the left, and of course they're 30 years old now and lost their tension. So I'm going to be putting in new conventional split pins. It's time to put oil back in the gearbox, and I'm using Penrite, an Australian produced oil, and I'm changing both the gear oil and the engine oil from mineral-based oil to full synthetics. Rule number 1, always check that you've tightened up that drain plug before putting oil in. And removing the filler plug, and then we'll put some oil in this gearbox. And there's my little hand pump, all set, ready to pump some oil into the gearbox. Time to start putting the brakes back together. The rotor's going on now, and as you can see, nice and clean. Got all that rust off the surface. And I'll be doing the same process on the other side. There's the pads all cleaned up, and you can see the new boot as well. Putting the caliper back on. Very simple cars these, nice and easy to work on. Putting the slider bolts in, you can't quite see it in the video, but they've got a coating of copper-based grease on them, and they all now work nice and smoothly. I do have a full complement of power tools, but I prefer to use just hand tools. I think you just get a much better feel for the bolts and what's going on, and I'm in no rush. This is not a commercial workshop. So I repeated that process on the right hand side, and also the rear brakes were fine, and they only needed the drums to be put back on. And then I could start the service items. As I said earlier, the order of work has changed. That oil looked pretty black. It's been there a long time, and even though this filter looks new, well, it was new, but it's been there for a very long time, possibly 4 years or more. So that's coming out. And there's the new Ryco filter in its place. So now time to put some oil in the engine. And there's the oil that came out of the engine. There's as dark as the inside of a cow. Long overdue. So it's good to have some nice fresh oil in there. I always replace the sump plug when I do an engine oil change, and I try to use one of these, a Smarto. They have a groove cut halfway along the thread, which supports an O-ring, and that O-ring it helps the oil sealing capability of the plug, and also the plug fits much tighter into the sump, so the chance of it rattling loose and coming out is almost zero. I'm using Penrite full synthetic 10W40 for this little car. Being an older engine, I've just gone for a slightly higher viscosity. The Castrol Edge 5W30 on the left is for our Volkswagen Golf TDI diesel, and that's due for service pretty soon now too. So this little tiny workshop is getting quite busy. In goes the oil. It doesn't look very colourful, does it? I remember in the 1960s, BP had an oil called BP Long Life, and it was this beautiful green colour. And I think it just made you think it was better just purely because of the colour. But anyway, this Penrite's a very good Australian product. Well, it's been a pretty good day. I've got quite a bit done, certainly enough for a old 75-year-old grey-haired bloke, and I did find some things that need doing to bring some extra things that to bring the car up to a reasonable level of reliability. But that was to be expected. It is a 30-year-old car after all, and it's got 195,000 kilometres on the clock, so no surprises there. And I think this 10-day delay is actually proved to be beneficial. It means I can get this bigger stuff out of the way, bigger work, and then I can start doing some of these servicing items. And I might even be able to attack the bodywork and get it all polished up and everything and cleaned out inside. The car will just present a lot better when I take it back to the workshop. So it shouldn't be too long now before this little red nugget of a car has a nice shiny new set of number plates. So I'll sign off now, and again, if you're the sort of person that likes seeing older cars given a second life, then just follow me through this set of short videos. We might see you again in the next video very soon. Cheers.